Poverty is an ever-growing problem that afflicts both developing countries and first-world countries alike. Many people are aware of the intense poverty in other countries such as Africa, China, and the Middle East, but turn a blind eye to the growing poverty in their own home country. My game was designed to show the player both sides of poverty, both at home and abroad. Poverty has many causes and make it difficult to determine why poverty continues or why no one has decided to stop it. Many speculate that because the wealthy people of the world continue to make money on the misfortune of others, poverty exists because the wealthy decide they do not have time to care about the less fortunate. Others attribute poverty to the loss of jobs and revenue from countries by getting all their goods made overseas in poor working conditions for a cheaper cost. Poverty has many causes and many reasons why it persists in the world, and the player will see this in-game as each of the main characters has their own reasons why they are poor and why they cannot gain wealth or shelter. The game will be an educational game designed to teach players about poverty and its effects on the impoverished and the privileged. The game relies on storytelling and great visuals to immerse the player in the stories of the two protagonists. The game plays similar to a survival game, only rather than returning home at the end of the night or mission to escape from something or avoid something, your characters are doing so to help their families, and by not returning home, you are harming them, even if it's progressing your character along. This makes the game rather interesting, as the player is taught what it's like to live in poverty, all while doing so in the safety of their own homes. This means the player can learn without any risk or even the knowledge that they are being taught in the first place. While the purpose is to teach people about poverty, I am aware that people will not play a game that forces them to learn, but I am confident that the story and visuals in the game will be enough to get those people at least interested in the game. The game will change with every playthrough. Some players will do all they can to save their families, while others will do what they can to help themselves. This is an interesting development because it allows people who may not want to play the game for learning, but they can still play simply to see how the two different play styles differ and how decisions affect the overall story and the characters' families. As players progress through the story, they will get to know the protagonists, Kelly and Kofi, better and have an understanding how each takes on the difficult task of dealing with poverty in their own countries. Kelly must survive on the streets as she tries to collect enough resources for her family and herself. Kofi, on the other hand, must survive in the poverty juggernaut of Africa, and the player will experience what it's like to live in poverty in a country that has a majority of its population in poverty. Both characters help the player to experience the different ways people are living in poverty, as well as teaching the player that poverty exists outside and inside their country. Throughout the game, the player will be taught the struggles of poverty both intrinsically and extrinsically. The player will be playing as a living character, and therefore intrinsically they will want to find the game's resources, food, water, and supplies, to keep themselves alive and healthy in order to continue caring for their families, while the player is motivated extrinsically to complete the tasks given to them for the reward of a higher score or some kind of reward for doing a side mission that benefits the player's character in some way. Overall, the game will teach players what poverty is and how it affects people in many different ways, and that poverty does not only exist outside of first world countries. The player will learn all this and more, and will seemingly play a fun game with an intriguing story.